Forget protect and serve. The Decepticon we're looking at in today's episode is here to punish and enslave. But while he's most famous today as a bad cop, that wasn't always the case. These are the basics on Barricade. The first Transformers toy to bear the name Barricade was released in 1990, the final year of the original Transformers toy line in America. Part of the line's range of tiny Micromaster figures, Barricade transformed into a Formula One race car. He believed that winning was everything, and was the leader of the Decepticon Racetrack Patrol, 4 diminutive delinquent speed demons who loved to drive dangerously. In Japan, the quartet were identified as former Autobots who had turned on their comrades and joined the Decepticons. Since the team, made up of Barricade, Roller Force, Groundhog, and Motorhead, were sold in a pack together, they didn't have individual character profiles. And they didn't make any appearances in classic media, meaning that they were basically non-entities. Until they featured in Dreamwave Productions comic books in the early 2000s. These comics characterized Barricade as a leader who ran his team like an abusive coach, who viciously berated his men for even minor failures. He enjoyed a starring role in the 2004 Micromasters miniseries, in which he and his team rebelled against the Decepticons, and joined forces with their old friends, the Autobot Hot Rod Patrol, to stop a plot by evil Micromaster Skystalker to wipe out all full-size Transformers. The team also appeared early in IDW Publishing's comic books, in which they were not Cybertronians, but biomechanical aliens from the planet Gorlum Prime. The second bot named Barricade debuted in 2005 as part of the Transformers Energon toy line. Unrelated to the Micromaster, Energon Barricade was a Decepticon who transformed into an armoured rocket-launching vehicle, and was part of the Destruction Team, who combined to form the giant Bruticus Maximus. But he was also a blank slate. He was never given a character profile, and the Energon cartoon depicted him not as an individual, but simply as a part of Bruticus Maximus, controlled by the Combiner's singular intelligence. The third, most famous incarnation of Barricade was introduced in 2007 as part of the cast of the first live-action movie. Unconnected to the previous 2 holders of the name, this Barricade was a quick-tempered Decepticon shock trooper with an unquenchable thirst for battle, who transformed into a Celine S281 Mustang police car, a form he delighted in using to trick others into trusting him. His role in the film, initially planned for Soundwave, saw him work with the tiny Frenzy to hunt down Sam Witwicky, using his police disguise to get close to him.
Are you username Ladiesman217?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you username Ladiesman217?
Only to be defeated in battle by Sam's guardian, Bumblebee. Barricade noticeably disappeared during the film's final act, last appearing during a freeway chase with the Autobots. As seen in novel and comic adaptations of the movie, the intention was for him to be destroyed by Optimus Prime, but the scene was deleted from the film. However, the removal of this death scene meant that the door was now open for Barricade to return in the future. In the years that followed the film's release, he continued to appear in tie-in media like video games, animation, and comic books, which retroactively explained his disappearance by revealing that during the freeway chase he had been run off the road by Ironhide. And a vast array of action figures of him were released in the various movie toy lines, many accompanied by on-package profiles that described his off-screen adventures between films. Eventually, Barricade returned to the screen in the 2011 sequel, Dark of the Moon, in which he was among the Decepticons who invaded Chicago. After another few years' absence, he showed up again in the 2017 movie The Last Night, now sporting a new look with a Celine 302 Mustang police car alternate mode, as he helped Megatron hunt down an ancient Cybertronian talisman and once again clashed with his old rival Bumblebee in the streets of London. Easily one of the most high-profile new characters introduced by the live-action films, the movieverse Barricade quickly became the definitive bearer of the name, and has served as the inspiration behind the subsequent introduction of multiple new Barricades in other Transformers series. Due to the character's police car alternate mode, unusual for a Decepticon, these new Barricades often share designs with versions of the Autobot police car, Prowl, and are sometimes characterized as enforcers of Decepticon law. Barricade's first new post-movie appearance was in the world of Transformers Animated, when he was name-checked by, of all things, a 2008 puzzle book. A character design for him based on the animated version of Prowl was later featured in the Allspark Almanac guidebook. Next, in 2010, Barricade featured in the video game War for Cybertron, in which he aided Megatron in storming the Trypticon space station. This Barricade was a hybrid of the designs of the movie character and the Generation 1 Micromaster, with the abusive, mouthy personality of the latter. In 2011, he was redesigned with a more movie-inspired look for the online video game Transformers Universe, but during the game's troubled production, he was replaced in its story by the new Decepticon Switchblade, and then the game wound up being cancelled anyway. A toy of this incarnation of Barricade was released by the Transformers Collectors Club in 2014, a recolor of the 2013 Transformers Prime Prowl figure, which came packaged with a new version of Frenzy, paying homage to the pair's partnership in the movie. 2014 also saw the War for Cybertron version of Barricade incorporated into the world of IDW Publishing's comics, as a distinct and separate character from the Micromaster who had already appeared in their pages. IDW cast this Barricade in the role of a Decepticon police officer, a well-intentioned bot who worked to keep the peace on Cybertron after the war had ended, trying to ensure a better future for the planet. At the request of his girlfriend, Swift, he recruited the Dinobots to help transport a cache of sparks from the Cybertronian colony of Caminus. But sadly, the mission ended in failure when renegade Decepticon Bludgeon attacked the group's transport and killed Barricade. Further speaking to the character's impact, in the late 2010s, Hasbro also introduced a generic evergreen design for Barricade, to be used for products and marketing not related to any specific continuity, based on the movie character's appearance in The Last Night. Perhaps the most prominent use of this design so far has been in the Generation 1 themed Earth Wars mobile game. Most recently though, Barricade has had another new toy released as part of 2019's War for Cybertron Siege toy line. Based on a piece of fan art created by Transformers artist Guido Guidi, this Barricade was once again a retool of the Siege Prowl figure, and transformed into a Cybertronian police vehicle. In this form, Barricade has appeared in both Netflix's tie-in Siege animated series, and in the pre-war setting of IDW's new rebooted comic book universe, in which he featured as a corrupt member of Cybertronian security operations, an inside informant secretly feeding information to the Ascenticons, the political party that eventually became the Decepticons. With Siege's 2020 sequel toy line Earthrise set to feature new figures of Barricade's old Micromaster teammates Roller Force and Groundhog, maybe some future piece of media will even see a Racetrack Patrol reunion. So that's the story of how Barricade went from street racing punk to crooked cop, and another example of how the first Transformer to bear a name isn't always the one who ends up being the most famous. And those are the basics on Barricade. Are you old enough to remember his Micromaster days, or was he always a bad cop to you? Sound off in the comments. Like and subscribe for more Transformers history and lore, and get early access to new episodes by supporting the series on Patreon.